Okay, I'm going to try this as a weight with the headpiece here. So hopefully, make sure everybody can hear that. But welcome everybody, especially for those of you who are watching the replay. Thank you for joining and watching this broadcast today. And what I'm going to talk about today is kind of an impromptu thing that has showed up actually a couple times. Let me wipe this down because I think it's really dirty. Give me a second here. Hopefully that's better. Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about today is something that has showed up time and time again when I work with clients and I work with my students about empowerment. And there was an interesting conversation I had actually over this past weekend that made it excruciating clear as to the dangerous trap that a lot of us go through when we are searching for enlightenment or looking for a change in our life to become more and more empowered. I'm sitting here in my office. Hey, Tony, what's happening? I'm sitting in my office in this very hot day. Oh, no sound. Okay. All right, I'm going to take this off. So, is there sound now? Hopefully. Yes? No? Maybe so? Okay, so... So let me start over. Welcome to the impromptu talk Periscope of talking about avoiding the disempowerment or active disempowerment to active empowerment trap. And before I get started, I'd like to welcome all the replay people so that, still no sound. I wonder what's happening. Let's see. Let's see. Is there sound now? Can people hear? Hello? For those of you who are on right now, I see a few of you on there. Let me know if you can hear this all right or not. Okay, Tony says he can't hear. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it is just Tony. Okay. So for those of you who can hear, could you hear earlier? Was it better with the microphone or was it better without? Anybody? Anyway, doesn't matter. If you can hear now, great. Okay, it's easier for me anyway without this wire hanging out from my ear. I tend to, I think, work and function better without technology stuck in my ear in weird places. Okay, so welcome to the avoid how to avoid the active disempowerment to active empowerment trap. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this today, because once again it came out today through the journey I have had in helping entrepreneurs, clients, students becoming more and more empowered in their business and their life. I've noticed there was a very common struggle that came from people who just jump into seminars and books and everything, and they had previously been living an active disempowerment or disempowering lifestyle for both their business and their life, or even in relationship. And a lot of times when we do the active disempowerment, if we're living a disempowered lifestyle and we get motivated and excited and inspired to live a more empowering lifestyle, we start immediately swinging over to the active empowerment lifestyle. And then what happens is we do this yo-yo effect of going to empowered, then disempowered, empowered and disempowered. And I've seen many, many people actually go through the process of getting totally empowered and then dropping back into their old ways again and struggling with it so much that they've basically given up on the whole personal development journey and thinking that all these business and seminars and coaches and everything are just kind of like, what's the word? It's almost like it's woo-woo or magic or just doesn't work for everybody. Or it works for everybody except me. What I found is in working with these people that there are two crucial steps that are actually missing in your journey to becoming totally or having a totally empowered lifestyle. And what those steps are, there are two actual steps before you can go from an active empowering lifestyle to an active empowering lifestyle or business that people miss. So let's talk about what active disempowerment. Active disempowering lifestyle, or active disempowerment, is when your language and the choices and your actions every single day entrench you deeper and deeper into a life that you do not want. For example, if you're in a relationship and you are actively disempowering yourself in a relationship, you're constantly talking about and complaining about what's wrong with the relationship, what you don't want in a relationship, what you don't want in life, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do you become more active, disempowered? Like exactly as Tony's saying, the downward spiral, right? And then what happens is we're kind of stuck in that, and we continue to do it without even realizing that we are actively entrenching ourselves further into that space. For those of you who are entrepreneurs and wondering how does this relate to entrepreneurship, imagine thinking about all the things that you focus on every single day in your business. What is wrong with the business? How hard the business is? Complaining about your clients, complaining about the lack of clients, complaining about all these different things, and the actions that you take every single day to avoid doing the things necessary that will push your business forward. Even asking yourself the question, why is everything so bad? The question I want to ask you is this, is that if somehow that question is answered, will it push your business forward? That is what we call active disempowerment. So what is active empowerment? True active empowerment is when you are at a point in your life when you look at those who are actively disempowering themselves and you are thoroughly confused as to how they can talk to themselves that way or talk about things that way, make the decisions that they make. I'm sure many of you out there who are on the journey that most of us are on in terms of wanting to have a better life can relate to that piece where what specifically is wrong with these people that keep disempowering themselves. Like they're totally confused as to how someone can actually think a certain way in life and continue to function properly. Now, if you can imagine, if you're fully entrenched and every single day used to talking and thinking and acting a certain way in a disempowered state, to immediately swing to an active empowered state, which is what a lot of personal development, self-help gurus out there basically, they promote, then you can imagine how difficult it is to swing that pendulum in that full opposite direction and maintain that inertia there without swinging all the way back. There's just way too big of a gap for that to be maintained. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, I was told by another client earlier this past weekend that I could probably write a whole book about this. So this is just kind of an overview touch on those two steps. So what are those two crucial steps that need to be embraced when you are on the journey of going from an active disempowering lifestyle to an active empowering lifestyle? So at one point, pause for a moment. It is hot as heck outside and it is raining. I'm going to show you guys real quick that it's actually raining here in Redondo Beach. Sunny rain. Isn't that crazy? Yes, that was a squirrel. So for those of us who have, at some point or another have experienced the active disempowering lifestyle, we all have had to start there at some point because unfortunately the world and the culture and the society that we live in breeds a lot of that. And if we haven't had the benefit of being raised with actively empowered parents in our lives, we can't help but be stuck in that type of a state at least one point. There is a point where, however, that active activity, the active disempowerment stops, but then we shift into a state called passive disempowerment. Passive disempowerment means we get to a point in life where we simply say, oh well, que sera, sera. Remember that song? What will be, and we just give it up to the universe. We just let it go. It says, whatever happens, happens. It's out of my control, and I'll just deal with it. Okay? As much as people say, well, that's not really the solution, what we don't realize that is a necessary part of our journey to get to the active empowerment stage. We first need to get out of actively disempowering ourselves and put ourselves into a passive disempowerment state. When we get to the passive disempowerment state, at least now we have a moment where we're not actively digging ourselves deeper into that hole, we're just static. Now, here's the switch. at some point, if you think about a time where you were in that point where you're saying, oh, whatever, I'll just let things be, whatever happens, happens, there is the next step, the third step that's crucial in getting you closer to an active empowerment state, which is passive empowerment. Yes, passive empowerment is when you're at a point where you start questioning where you are right now in the passive disempowerment state. Is this really it? Is this all there is to life? Is this all there is to the relationship? What is it that I do want? Is there more to what I'm doing right now than just to say, well, whatever, let's give it up to the universe? I got to tell you, this is really amazing seeing what I'm seeing outside. It's like almost, for California standards, like raining cats and dogs, but it's bright sun outside, and this will just add to the humidity, I realize, and my car is getting a nice clean. Okay, anyway, so now we're at passive empowerment. So what is passive empowerment? When you start questioning your passive disempowerment state, you start thinking about, what are my intentions? What is it that I want? What do I want to ultimately accomplish? And then you say, well, maybe I should start researching. I should start learning things. In other schools of thought, we call this, you start to develop learning knowledge. So you can get learned knowledge. Okay? Learned knowledge then allows you to start increasing the level of option that you have. However, for those of us who have traveled this journey before, sometimes we get ourselves vacillating, stuck in this state, which is still a lot better than active disempowerment, but we're stuck between a state where we're vacillating between passive disempowerment to passive empowerment, back to passive disempowerment, saying, oh, I can't do that. I mean, this is kind of how it is. I mean, there's all these things out there that are happening. I can't do anything about it. But what if I do want more? What if I can do more? I mean, I look at people around me who are in similar state. There's a possibility. There is a way out. What we want to do is we want to catch ourselves in that particular moment when we're questioning and asking ourselves, is there something more? And then taking the action to actively empower ourselves by acting on that thought, regardless of what may or may not happen as a result. When we are willing to do that, that's when we start making that permanent shift towards active empowerment. So then the transition then goes to we flirt with active empowerment, we fall on our faces, oh, that didn't work. When we go back and you go to passive empowerment, say, I wonder why that didn't work. And then you go to passive disempowerment for a moment and say, well, that's because my life sucks. Or does it suck? Maybe there's a different way, and then you try a different method, continuously keeping in mind that you will vacillate between passive disempowerment to passive empowerment, then to active empowerment. As time goes on, you'll spend less and less time in the passive disempowerment stage, spend more time in the passive empowerment stage, and then eventually get to a point where you are vacillating on a daily basis between active empowerment and passive empowerment. We are human, so keep in mind that passive disempowerment is almost a necessary part of our kick in the butt process to get ourselves to consistently stay in our active empowerment stage. How you know that you've become or you started to incorporate active empowerment in our life, in your life, is when you start looking at those who are actively disempowering themselves and you're not actually associating yourself with that or relating to that. You are in fact completely and thoroughly confused and have no idea and no perception as to why they're even there. That is, unless of course you're a coach and then you're designing your job is to identify that. However, outside of the coaching community, if your goal is to live an active, empowering lifestyle, then you will literally be confused around people who are actively disempowering themselves. And that's why a lot of people in the initial stages of getting to the point where they're actively empowering their self, their business, and their life, start to look at their network around them and seeing a deterioration of people that you actually want to spend time with. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because what happens is this, from an entrepreneur standpoint, as a great friend of mine, I quote, your net worth is your network is your net worth. You will literally be upgrading your network. And for those of you who are talking about social circles and everything like that, your life will actually be happier instead of being mired and surrounded by disempowering lifestyles. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully, if you get a chance to watch this replay, if this resonates with you, please feel free to share this. And I'm actually going to go out right now and kind of enjoy and smell that fresh rain that just fell down out here in Redondo Beach outside my office. For those of you, if you have a question, reach out to the Six Figure Academy. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Periscope, and stay tuned for the next impromptu talk on Periscope. All right, thanks. I'll talk to you guys later.